Hello. Welcome to the Daydreamers Club.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Daydreamers Club podcast. I'm Addie.
And I'm Winter. Today we are going to be discussing the illusion of the material world. So,
Yes.
this is something I think that's been on both of our minds lately, just given the introspective times that we're living in. At least for me. I've just been hanging out with myself a lot. So, I've been very much not thinking about the physical reality that I usually am distracted by.
Yes, I completely relate to that. I think even over the last 5 or 6 years of my life, I wasn't fully in touch with myself because I was focused so much on working and just accomplishing things and achieving instead of more so what I personally see the world as and what I value and like what makes me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so not that they're, mutually exclusive, but that was just kind of where my brain was at. And so this is a huge topic for us right now. We were just texting about this the other day and having a whole long conversation for like an hour about this topic. And I think what we're trying to say with this, it kind of sounds confusing, but what we're trying to say is that oftentimes the material world, all the things that people care about, like how you look and what you look like and how you talk or, how big your house is or just all these like really just trite things that people spend their entire lives focusing on, like getting the next car. And I like nice things. I know you do too. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
But I don't know if I really like nice things.
Yeah.
Actually, but I don't really care that much about that stuff. Mostly what I care about is my physical appearance. That was something I've had to overcome over the years. I don't care anymore, but I used to be always obsessed about how skinny I was or, if my makeup was good or if I had the right clothes, my hair was the right style, all that stuff. And I
used to spend hours doing my eyeliner and my hair, like 4 hours when I was a teenager.
Did you do cat eye eyeliner? Is that why it took so long? That stuff is exhausting.
It's so exhausting. It's mentally draining.
It is. You do a cat eye and your day, your day's been productive.
Why do you think I have my hair parted over one eye pretty much? It's because I can do one eye really good. Just forget the other one. Leave it out.
The other one doesn't even have any makeup on it. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that everybody has their different distractions.
Yeah.
But the point of, I just think, the material world in general is supposed to be a manifestation of our spiritual, internal, and deeper significance and reality.
And it always is.
Exactly. But because we don't see our spiritual selves, we don't see each other's souls, we don't see, the depths of what's really occurring, we instead associate all of our meanings with what we can perceive with our eyes.
Yeah.
And in that way, our senses and physical bodies are kind of limiting because those are really the symptoms, the results, and the manifestations of what's going on in the immaterial world.
Right.
So
I think it's true. Mm-hmm. I think that, everything that you think about is ultimately what your life becomes. I have so many personal stories of things that I've been obsessed with for years. And then in a crazy way, it manifests in my life. And I'm like, what the hell? That's not even something that I expected. And so that's a huge part of it. And I think that if you let yourself focus too much on the external things going on in your life, then you kind of lose your identity and forget what is going on inside you. And I love one thing that you mentioned to me when we were texting is that our bodies, we only exist in so many dimensions with our bodies, but our spirits, what's inside of us, exists in multi dimensions. Mm-hmm. And we don't know how many dimensions there are out there. And that's okay. But we know that we can pick up on things that our bodies can't.
Yeah, even your consciousness does.
Yes.
In your mind.
Mm-hmm.
We can visualize things that we can't like actually see, you know?
Yes.
Like you
and
could
your
imagine.
body actually thinks it's happening.
Exactly. And that, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Like, did you know that when you have dreams, your body can't tell the difference between your emotions, whether it's like from a dream or real life? You experience emotions exactly the same.
Wow.
And it's because it's all about what your mind is perceiving. So really, all your senses and everything is all connected to kind of like that mental aspect of where how you're viewing reality.
Right.
And I think that is like the bridge kind of between the spiritual and the material.
Yeah, definitely. Your mind is. And it's true. I mean, I can't remember his name, but the guy that first ran the 4-minute mile, he worked a full-time job and just visualized
that is so crazy.
That like every day. And your body actually thinks that like the same neurons and like muscles and everything react just as if he was running all of those
did he
times
never like try to run?
No, he did.
Oh, okay.
But he just visualized it constantly. And, you know, there's even examples of people that like visualize working out versus working out and what their results are. And, you know, there's stuff like that. But I think, I mean, it's such a fascinating concept. And I think that we all can relate to this because we know and can pick up on the unseen, like the things in the world that you can't see.
So true.
Or that you might sense that are there before you actually see them happen.
Exactly. Like your intuition.
Yeah, your intuition. Like take, for example, something unseen like love, you know? Or like your mind, how big your mind and your soul and your spirit are. Just like there's so much about the unseen that's going on that I think that we don't really take an interest in our society. And you know, there's a shift even in our generation, like away from like religion, which I understand, but at the same time, those concepts of everything being like unseen is 100% true. And some of us are just more sensitive to it than others. And then, you know, whatever you focus on grows as well.
And I think something that's very interesting, and this is a little trippy, but so the CIA recently released, or I don't know how recently, but they've released, you know, projects that they've done in the past that at the time were top secret, but now are, you know, declassified. Everybody can access them on their website. And I'm a nerd, so sometimes I like to scroll through that stuff.
Love you for that.
There is one project they did called Project Stargate, and it was basically an experiment regarding people's psychic abilities. What they determined is anybody can rely kind of on that intuition. Anybody can experience what we might perceive in the material world as supernatural thing, but is really just a manifestation of a higher reality.
Yeah.
Anybody can experience that, but they realized that because our minds are so powerful, if you just tell people that that's impossible, then they'll believe that. And they won't be able to do it because they believe in their mind that it's impossible. So even if it's happening around them, even if they would otherwise be experiencing it, they won't anymore because you took that out of their mind. They now think that's impossible. It's just like how your mind uses your eyes to and it like inputs the light, and then your mind switches it around like a camera and makes sense of whatever the light it's receiving is.
Right.
Now, with optical illusions, they can trick you because your mind is using the previous data that it's put together to understand that image or that illusion, and that's why it works, because your mind can't make sense of it, and it bases everything that it sees off of things that it already knows. So when you put that data in your mind of like, oh, you can't see this, or this isn't real, then your mind is like, oh, that's not real. We're going to not even ever think about that. And if you're not thinking about it, you're not going to see it. It's like how you never probably notice the color of cars driving down the road. But if you think of a yellow car, you're going to see every car that's yellow.
Yes. John Maxwell calls that advanced attraction.
Yeah.
Because, exactly that. And I think that's so true. And I mean, being somebody who is a Christian and believes in God, and like when people are unsure about, you know, the concept of an afterlife, I personally, and I'm like, I feel like everything in this world, just from my personal experience, is a shadow.
Yeah.
I feel like it's absolutely like a shadow and foretelling of your next life. And, you know, I mean, you can take anything from the fact that people hate death. Like as a society, we're like, oh, so scared of death.
I think that's
on a
in
wider
Western
basis.
culture. That's in Western culture that people are afraid of death.
Yeah, well, in cultures that don't really like talk about afterlife as much, you know?
No, because like in the Eastern cultures, they like Eastern philosophy and a lot of times focuses on kind of death is just part of the cycle. And they see it as just a transformation process of your energy. And so they're not really, it's not as much of a feared concept because to them it's just like, oh, we're existing. But they're also not as attached to the material in those philosophies. So I think that's why you're able to release all of that. But in Western culture, they're always emphasizing the material.
Yes. And I think that's a good point is like Western culture really does focus on the material so much versus Eastern culture talks about like you actually are an energy body and then a physical body.
Yeah.
And Western culture, it only talks about your physical body and almost kind of denies like your existence of, you know, being an energy source.
Yeah, it's like if it's not proven by science, this is the funniest thing to me. It's such a paradox where people say, if it's not proven by science, then, you know, it's not a real thing. But scientists come up with those experiments to prove things based off of their consciousness, based off of conjecture. It's not proven yet before they prove it. So if you think that way, it's like a backwards little paradox that it's not logical. But it's still the logic that many people base their ideas or perceptions of reality off of.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I could get in a whole tangent about things that science, oh my gosh, that like just philosophers and scientists and stuff have said that, I mean, later are so... No, I'm just saying that they're like later on so regretted because of the actual aftermath of thinking that way and like what those things can cause. So yeah, I think honestly, it's just so important to really take your thoughts captive and really consider, especially with the extra downtime that we have, what your intuition is speaking to you. Yes. Because I love how you told me the other day how like women feel with their hearts a lot, or so we're said, and then men think with their brains a lot, you know, so they say, I mean, obviously we both do both, but like in a more mature version of yourself, you really listen to your gut, where your intuition and where the grounding happens. So I would just encourage everybody to do that and really dig deep.
Yeah, I'd like to backtrack a little. When I said the heart is associated, I was meaning like with feminine energy, you know, because every single person, regardless of their gender or sexual orientation, have feminine and masculine energy.
Oh, yes,
so I just mean like your mind is often associated in its functions with the masculine energy. That I think I have plenty of masculine energy. I think I use my mind, but my heart too. I just think that immature people only emphasize the heart and the mind and they forget about the gut. And it's like, why would you forget about the gut? I was talking to my friend the other day and she's like, yeah, I don't know why people don't listen to their gut more, because when do you ever look back and say, oh man, I wish I hadn't listened to my gut?
Never.
I wish I had listened to my gut. Like, and we dismiss it because we're like, oh, well, I'm not sure. That's not proven yet. And it's like, but you have to trust yourself. That's another sense. It's almost like, it's like a higher dimensional sense of, sure, you can base the understanding that you're getting off of the perceptions that your physical realm is giving you, but that doesn't discount that there's not a reason why you're experiencing that.
Yeah.
So, like,
hunches are very powerful.
Exactly. And it's not just a hunch. Like, that's the thing that frustrates me. If you meditate, for example, I love meditating. I do this all the time, all day. But yeah, when you're meditating, you're completely out of the physical. You're existing solely within the non-material realm. You know, some people take it really to the next level and they're like, oh, I'm on the astral plane, and like that's a whole other level of reality. But some people are just existing in the nothingness that is everything. And when you do that and you're sitting there with your intuition and all of your functions of your mind, you're able to just completely detach and realize that you can be so at peace regardless of the perceived conflicts, regardless of what's going on in the world at the time, the people and their energy around you. It's such a nice grounding experience. And I wish more people would do that often because it would eliminate so many of the stressors that we think we experience.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. And I mean, it talks about meditating in the Bible constantly. I mean, just so many authors were like,
always be in a state of meditation, basically.
Yeah, basically, because it's you're present, you're calm, You're focused on what actually matters.
Yes.
And you are not going into that it's impossible mindset. You're like, no, even though it seems impossible, it's not impossible.
Yep.
And I just am so encouraged by that. So
beautiful
thoughts that you shared. I love it. No, nothing is impossible.
I think
You're
that's
right.
something that people often also get confused by. It's the same thing I was saying earlier when you tell your brain this thing doesn't exist, or you tell yourself the odds are not in your favor. Now your brain internalizes that and kind of creates that reality for you.
And it stops trying.
Exactly. Even on a subconscious level, you don't realize that your actions, they have meaning. The intention behind things actually does manifest itself physically. So if you're always having negative energy, you're having a negative mindset about things, like your reality will be turned into that. But as soon as you have that paradigm shift, now you can redirect that energy and manifest it into something else. And I think people are like hippie trippy manifestation, but it's like, no, it's really not hippie trippy. It's just honestly logic.
Yeah, it's logic, and honestly, whatever you think on grows. We all know that. And also, what you feel is what you get. Because I used to be so confused about how people were like, oh, just manifest it. And I was like, what the heck? Because, like, I'd try that or whatever, and it wouldn't work. And what I realized...
you can't just, like, think about it.
Yeah, you can't think about it. But also, I wasn't just thinking about it. I was also working a lot. And what you have to understand as well is that if you are thinking and doing action, but you don't feel right with it, then it won't happen. Because what you feel is what you get. So if you have like a limiting belief about yourself or what you can achieve or something like that, that limiting belief, regardless of how much work you're doing, will limit you. Because it doesn't sit right with what you currently believe about yourself. And so you really have to back up and really just dig into those beliefs about what you believe for yourself.
Yes.
So I don't know. That's just something I learned.
No, that's so true. And especially, like, let's say, for example, somebody's trying to manifest, financial abundance into their life. But you have the mindset of, like, somebody who's always like, oh, you're thinking, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need this. And when you're always thinking, I need to do this in order to get that, your brain is always telling you, you don't have that thing. If you need it, you don't have it. So you can't operate out of that scarcity mindset, basically.
Right.
You have to choose an abundance mindset.
Yes.
Overall, where you're like, release your need, quote unquote, for that thing, release your desire for it, and just let things come to you.
Right.
They will. If it's meant for you, it will. If it's energy aligns with that, then it will happen. And what is meant for you will happen if you trust the process.
Yes. That is so powerful. I hope everyone takes notes on what you just said right there. Mic drop. That was so good. Anything else you want to tell the people?
I'm not articulate enough, but thank you.
No, what?
I think that's about it. I think that can sum it up for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in, and can't wait to see you next time.
Can't wait. Follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
To see what's poppin' with our little Daydreamers Club.
Yes.
Answer some daily questions, maybe end up in a podcast if you give us some good input, because we're always looking to learn from everyone, especially listeners. So have a great day, beautiful people.
Bye.